Only a decade ago, the idea that Europe would seriously prepare for a future without the United States sounded unrealistic. For more than 75 years, America has been the backbone of European security, economic stability, and global influence. From the Marshall Plan to nuclear deterrence, from intelligence sharing to global trade enforcement, the transatlantic alliance defined the modern Western order. But today, across capitals like Paris, Berlin, and Brussels, leaders are quietly confronting a question that once felt unthinkable. What if America is no longer guaranteed? This shift is not driven by anti-American sentiment. It is driven by uncertainty. The political shock began when Donald Trump openly questioned NATO commitments, trade arrangements, and long-standing security assumptions. For Europeans, the deeper realization was not about one leader. It was about volatility. American foreign policy, once seen as structurally stable regardless of elections, now appears capable of sharp swings every 4 years. From Europe's perspective, national security cannot rely entirely on another country's domestic politics. That is the core anxiety driving this transformation. The phrase increasingly heard in European institutions is strategic autonomy. Leaders such as Emmanuel Macron have argued that Europe must be capable of defending itself with or without American backing. This does not mean ending the alliance with the United States. It means building the capacity to act independently if necessary. The European Union has expanded joint defense funding, coordinated weapons procurement, strengthened cross-border military mobility, and encouraged members to increase defense budgets. Even historically cautious countries have shifted dramatically. The underlying message is simple. Europe wants leverage over its own future. Energy was another turning point. When supplies from Russia were disrupted, Europe relied heavily on American LNG exports. While this partnership stabilized markets, it also revealed a vulnerability. Dependence on external suppliers, even friendly ones, creates strategic risk. As a result, Europe accelerated renewable investments, diversified suppliers, strengthened grid integration, and sought greater domestic production. The objective is not to replace America, but to ensure flexibility. The same logic now applies to finance. The global dominance of the US dollar gives Washington immense power over sanctions and liquidity. European policymakers have quietly explored strengthening the euro's international role, developing alternative payment channels, and advancing a digital euro to reduce exposure to dollar-based systems. Again, this is not a rejection of the United States. It is insulation against unpredictability. At the same time, Europe faces a complex balancing act with China. The United States increasingly frames China as its primary strategic competitor, but Europe's economic ties with Beijing are deep and multifaceted. China is simultaneously a partner, a rival, and a systemic competitor. If US-China tensions escalate further, Europe may be pressured into hard alignment. Preparing for a future without guaranteed American leadership means preserving room to maneuver in a multipolar world. Even within NATO, the unspoken debate is not about dismantling the alliance, it is about durability. Could political shifts in Washington weaken Article 5 commitments? Would troop deployments remain stable? Would long-term funding be sustained? These uncertainties, however hypothetical, force contingency planning. Europe is not walking away from America, it is building fallback options. What we are witnessing is not a dramatic divorce, but a gradual rebalancing of power within the Western alliance. Europe remains aligned with the United States on democratic values, economic integration, and security cooperation. But after financial crises, Brexit, energy shocks, war on the continent, and political volatility across the Atlantic, European leaders have concluded that resilience requires independence. The world is becoming more multipolar, more fragmented, and less predictable. In that environment, strategic dependence is seen as vulnerability, so Europe is strengthening its defense industry, insulating its financial systems, diversifying its energy sources, and expanding its geopolitical flexibility. If American leadership remains stable and committed, the alliance may grow even stronger. But if Washington turns inward or shifts direction, Europe wants the capacity to stand on its own. This quiet transformation may not dominate headlines today, but over time it could reshape the global balance of power more profoundly than any single election. If you found this breakdown valuable, your support means a lot. Like the video and subscribe to the channel It truly motivates me to keep making content like this.